This is Dream Power Radio, the place where your dreams turn into reality. Here is your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Hello, and welcome to Dream Power Radio. I'm your host, certified dream life coach, Debbie Spector-Weissman. This is a place where we talk about dreams, both daytime and nighttime dreams, and how you can use them to make the internal shift to a life you love and rediscover the truth of who you really are. I had a dream the other night I'd like to share with you now. In the dream, I'm walking through a forest-like area. The trees are emerald green and there are bright, colorful flowers everywhere. The sky is magically blue and has a rainbow arcing across it. For those of you listening to the podcast, it looks a lot like the background I use on this podcast. As I'm walking, I pass by little tables, each one filled with a different kind of sweet. Candies, cakes, ice cream sundaes, the works. I get to pick and choose anything I want. I'm filled with total joy and loving this journey. And I wake up feeling a great sense of euphoria. I share this dream with you now for two reasons. One is I believe that one person's dream is everyone's dream. So I hope you're also getting a positive feeling from hearing about the dream. The other reason is to show to you an example of how dreams can affect us and what happens when you start paying attention to your dreams. In case you haven't figured it out by now, today's episode is all about dreams. And here to discuss them with me is one of my favorite dream educators and researchers, Robert Haas. Among his many, many accomplishments, Bob is an acclaimed author and teacher on dreams, the past president of the International Association for the Study of Dreams, and the director of its annual conference. His books include Dream Language, Dream to Freedom, Dreams That Change Our Lives, and Dreams, Understanding Biology, Psychology, and Culture. Welcome back to Dream Power Radio, Bob.
Well, thank you very much. Glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you here. So what did you think of my little dream there?
Oh, I think that was wonderful. In particular, as you were telling it, I was looking at the background and going, well, you're living your dream. At another level, what dreams do is they're problem solvers, for one thing. Our dreaming brain is sort of a self-healing thing. But when they end like yours did, there's usually a valuable message in there because dreams, they're a learning experience. And if we have learned what we needed to learn in the dream, they will quite often reward us because that's the way that the learning gets situated in our minds.
Exactly. And when I journaled this dream after I had it, I had several different things that came to my mind. One was just to embody the dream as it is, just appreciate it for its beauty and its joy. So I could have it to look back on for those times when maybe I'm not feeling so great. And I could say, yeah, but you had this wonderful dream and it tells you that life is sweet. And everything you want is there for your taking and all those good things that are there out for you. And it's wonderful. So I said, that's great. If that's all I get out of the dream, I'm really happy with it. But then, like you said, the background did remind me a lot of the background I use on this podcast. I said, well, it's also telling me I'm loving doing the podcast. And well, Bob, something I wanted to talk to you about. And one of the most popular subjects that I'm asked about these days is lucid dreaming. A few weeks ago, I was going back into some files for when I was first studying dream work about a dozen years ago. And I came across something you wrote at the time, where you indicated that lucid dreaming accounted for only about 3% of the type of dreams that people have. Is that still true, or has there actually been a growth in lucid dreaming?
Well, I think there's been a growth in awareness of lucid dreaming, so more people are open to it and are actually practicing it. The statistics depends on who is doing the study. One study will show it's about 2%, and the other study will show it's as much as 7%. But when researchers who are interested in lucid dreaming start studying it, they have a number of subjects that they work with regularly in laboratory or other ways that are in the 20 or 30% of their dreams that they remember are lucid. So it kind of depends on your interests and how your brain is structured, the ability for you to be able to lucid dream, and your intent in life.
I think I read some study somewhere, and this may have been an outlier, that says that up to 70% of people have said they've had a lucid dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's 70 to 80% when you ask somebody, have you had a lucid dream, and define what it is, which is you're dreaming in the dream, then yeah, you get responses like the 70 and 80% of the time somebody says, oh yeah, I had that once.
Well, if you want to have more lucid dreams, can you just have one? Is it as simple as telling yourself that you want to have a lucid dream?
Well, yeah, there's a number of different approaches, and they're not easy. To some people who practice it regularly, they become quite easy. But with mine, I have a number of them. Most of them are spontaneous, and I think I'm just too lazy to incubate them. But the simplest thing is just incubation. Tell yourself you're going to have a dream tonight, and you're going to remember that it is a dream within the dream, and that you're going to wake up and recall it. And you have to sort of visualize yourself doing so. And that'll work sometimes. It's worked for me a few times. But there's a number of other tricks. One's called wake back to bed, which I found works, where if you wake up, say a few hours before you normally do, you stay awake for about an hour and do something just relaxing, not working on a computer, but something relaxing, and then go back to bed. And quite often what happens is the circadian rhythms and also the REM cycle in your sleep get a little bit distorted when you do that. And so it will often trigger a lucid dream when you're in it. A third approach, which really seems to work quite a bit, is to practice in your waking life. As you're walking around during the day, every so often say, hey, is this a dream? Well, of course it's not. But what it does is it gets your mind triggered to when you're asleep, asking the same question. You can do crazy things like you hold up your hand, try to push your finger through it during the day. Well, that's good practice for the evening when you push your finger through it and it actually goes through and you say, whoops, that must be a dream. So there's a number of different techniques you can use, and they work differently for different people.
I see that for sure. Many years ago, when I was just starting out and learning about this, because, I discovered dream work later in my life, I was talking with a woman who has lucid dreams all the time and was kind of surprised that everybody didn't. And she'd been a dreamer her whole life and was encouraged to dream by her parents, and it was just a natural part of her life. Are there any studies that show that people who have been lifelong dreamers are more likely to have lucid dreams?
There probably are among some of the lucid studies, but there's so many factors associated with lucid dreaming that I can't put my name on one particular study that answered that particular question. But if you have begun your early in life with the understanding and the experience of lucid dreaming, quite often that will continue to follow you through life. And the more you do lucid dream, the more you tend to have another lucid dream. So I find with myself, it comes at times when I have a need, either an emotional need, or quite often when I'm putting together a presentation, all of a sudden they'll trigger a number of lucid dreams that I needed for the presentation. But I think one of the things to remember about lucid dreaming is it's not controlling your dream. Those who lucid dream often will find that when they get into a dream, if they don't like something happening, they'll try to change it. Well, you have a little slight influence over the dream, but the dream is bigger than you. The dream represents your entire self, your unconscious self, and perhaps even beyond your own physical reality. And that's much greater than the ego, which is having this lucid dream. So the experiences in a lucid dream can go anywhere from just realizing you're dreaming and not doing much about it, to playing and flying around, to talking to dream characters, trying to understand who they are. And you'll find that you're exploring consciousness, because quite often they're parts of yourself that you've alienated because you didn't like to deal with that part of self. And quite often they seem to be just higher levels of consciousness. And at the greater levels, I think the most valuable thing about lucid dreaming is realizing that there is a wisdom behind the dream. Now, this wisdom is behind our daily dreams as well, because our dreams tend to try to guide us. But in the lucid state, you, the ego, now have a chance to actually touch and dialogue with that internal wisdom. And it can be quite astounding at times. I'll just give you one simple example. I was in my dream, I was running after a bunch of people that were ahead of me. I was trying to catch up with this group. And all of a sudden I said, oh, I'm dreaming. I can now fly. And so I would get up in the air, fly, and I'd almost catch up with them. But at that point, they went around a corner. This big wall was to one side. They went around the corner. And so when I got to the corner, there was nothing there but a wall. And I said, oh, they must be on the other side. And basically I said, well, I'm lucid. I can fly right through that wall. And when I tried to, I went splat right up against the wall. And all of a sudden, this voice comes down, booming voice said, if you want to move through a barrier, you need to look beyond it. I mean, talk about the philosophy. I would never have come up with that in my own waking state. But at that moment, I decided, okay, I would kind of peer beyond the wall and I could see the figures over there. And at that point, I was able to actually move through it. But this wisdom is just so philosophical. You kind of ask yourself, where does this come from? And it goes from that simple dream to actually turning around and talking to the wisdom and asking a question like, show me something I need to know, or how do I, or show me what I need to know in this situation. I think I may have talked in one of the past shows about the big heart dream.
Yes.
And that was a case where the wisdom was almost a divine type of wisdom, where I was asking, basically in the dream, I asked, what do I need to know to deal with my wife who has dementia? And basically the answer came. I was sucked up into a beautiful blue universe where I became part of it all, and this intense bliss. And I was basically told, all you need is love. And so that changed me in this instance. I'm dealing now with my wife's dementia with love. It doesn't bother me. I feel good about helping her. And so that's very much like me. So this wisdom is dramatic. And I think that's one of the things that's the most valuable understanding that people need to realize when they have a lucid dream. Instead of just flying around and getting splatted up against a wall, is to turn around to the wisdom and ask it an open-ended question. I mean, it can be as dynamic as, what is the meaning of life?
Right.
What is my role?
So where do you think this wisdom is actually coming from? Is it, you think it's like the Akashic records or some divine being, or from ourselves even?
It comes from many levels. It comes from all levels, actually. The basic wisdom you get in your nightly dreams are somewhat of a function of your dreaming brain trying to resolve problems of the day and things of that sort. But when you get into these levels of wisdom that come through in lucid dreaming, I like to think of it as when souls dream, you can go anywhere through all creation. So at that level, it is like our soul dreaming. It's no longer just a brain related dream. And when our souls dream, we can touch all creation, whether you want to call it Akashic records, whatever you want to call it. It's all creation. It's limited to one sort of thing. At least that's what I've discovered.
Well, with that, we are going to take a short break now. We are speaking with Robert Haas all about dreams, and we'll be right back. Hi, it's Debbie. If you like what you're hearing on Dream Power Radio, I've got good news for you. There's more information, more insights, more ways for you to live your dream life on my YouTube channel, The Dream Power Experience. Check out insightful video interviews with some of the leading experts in self-growth and empowerment. Plus a few videos where I share my own advice on how to break free from whatever's holding you back. So take a look at the Dream Power Experience on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/@thedreampowerexperience.
Welcome back to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Yes, welcome back to Dream Power Radio. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman, and we're talking all about dreams with Robert Haas. Well, Bob, you were talking about in your dream that you were trying to go through a wall and you couldn't go through it, and then you could go through it. Since one of the more popular lucid dreams is flying, how is it that we can go through walls or spaces that in real life we couldn't even come doing?
Well, because it's a dream, for one thing, but actually the dream, if you think about it, the dream is really trying to show you something. Okay. And yes, you're right. When many times when we find ourselves in a lucid dream, it's fun to fly because we can't do that in waking life, right? So it's fun and we play around, but understanding that there is much a purpose to lucid dream as there is to your normal nightly dream where you're trying to resolve emotional problems of the day. I think that's important because even that silly dream of me trying to fly through the wall, it was teaching me something. It was saying, look, you're the ego. You're just a little piece of this dream. You can't necessarily control all aspects of it. There's something greater than that to learn. So basically what it was teaching me is, if you've got barriers in life, which I had at that point in time, in order to make it through those barriers, you have to look beyond them. That was a beautiful piece of wisdom that I needed to know at that moment in time. So, and I think that's important when in lucid dream, we're always running around having fun, but it's important to know that there's as much a lesson in that dream as there is in some of your nightly dreams that you're problem solving. And once you understand that and can turn to the wisdom behind the dream, it's amazing. There was a point in time when I was younger that I wanted to have a specific career of life, and it had to do with dream work and helping people and psychology and whatnot. And I found myself in a lucid dream, and I realized that there was this divine sort of intelligence around me, or at least a higher intelligence. And I was whooshed up into this white space, and I began to talk to this higher intelligence, basically saying, could you fix it so that I can have this particular career in life? Because I think that would be rewarding, et cetera, et cetera. And the voice turned around and told me, I said, well, it's not so much what you do in life, it's how you do it. And so once again, this wisdom is counter to the ego. It basically shows you something that you as an ego entity really didn't understand. And it's helpful. It's there for health and wholeness. And just realizing it's there, it gives you a different sense of what reality and life is all about. That it's kind of like having an angel watching over you in a sense, that there is this wisdom there, and that if you turn to it and get out of your ego state, it will guide you through life.
I know that's something that I found amazing when I first realized what dreams were all about. Even just your regular nighttime dream can be a source of such great wisdom. And
oh, yes,
lucidity probably heightens that. So I want to ask, in a lucid dream, are all of our senses activated and heightened more than it would be in a regular dream?
That's the experience that most people have. The first thing what happens in a lucid dream is not, neurologically, it's not that mysterious. It's the conscious part of your brain, which is normally asleep, activating in sleep. But along with it, parts of the brain that are responsible for processing your senses also activate on the back part of the associative cortex. And as a result, your senses are heightened. And that's just a neurological aspect. But when you're in a lucid dream, the first sense that really tends to heighten is the brilliant colors. But some of those dreams, you'll be touching a wall and you go, oh my God, that feels like a real wall, even though I'm dreaming. So yes, your senses do heighten in a lucid dream from that aspect.
Something else that some people experience in lucid dream is actually going to different universes. Is this something that you've experienced?
Yes. I'm almost afraid to tell this story because it's a little sad, but it's helped me through the situation with my wife. It all started with that dream about asking the wisdom, what do I need to get through the situation? And the answer came back as love. Well, as it turns out, that started a series of events which I never expected to occur. All of a sudden, at the end of one lucid dream, I woke up and there was my wife standing. Now she's gotten later stages of dementia, but there she was standing in the window, 30 years younger, and smiling at me and saying, "Let's go." And what? And the next time I had a lucid dream, I asked in the dream, take me to Lynn, because there's a philosophy or a theory that people, when they have dementia, the soul will begin to leave the body and live in the two dimensions, the other side. And I said, take me to Lynn. And I appeared in this room with her, and she was packing a suitcase. And I'm saying, what are you doing? She says, I'm packing for us to go see God. And go, wait a minute, I'm not. And then the next one, I asked to see Lynn, and we met and we were talking and chatting. And I said, let's go see Mom. My mom had died too. Let's go see Mom. And all of a sudden my mom comes around the corner and she goes, we're waiting for you. So it's like this other side was anticipating that I was part of moving on as well, but I wasn't. Well, and finally, in one of my told Lynn, I said, no, I'm not going. I can't go. I'm not in the state that I need to be to go. And she basically, in that dream, she was all dressed up, had a suitcase, and was going out the door. And I said, where are you going? She says, I've decided I can leave on my own. And I said, no, you can't. You get to mention that I was thinking about waking life. And she said, no, I'm going to leave on my own, and was all happy about it. And so then the next time I had this lucid dream, and these were separated by some months, but next time I asked again, please take me to Lynn. And we met in this beautiful heavenly-like setting. And we were talking and we played games. It was a half hour, 45-minute dream, and we were playing and just having a great time. She was younger, and we sat down on a bench and as I was looking at her and talking and looking into her eyes, I started crying. And she goes, why are you crying? And I said, because in my world, you can't talk. You can't speak. We can't talk. She says, what do you mean? She said, I'm talking to you now, and I'll be talking to you for the next million years. And so that was enlightening and it was joyful. It was one of the most joyful experiences I'd ever had. But then the next one got a little sadder. I had another lucid dream where I asked, and the way I ask is sort of like a little prayer. In the dream, I get whooshed into another dream. I said, take me to Lynn. And I was walking through this scrubby neighborhood, but there was this beautiful little store on the corner. And I went in, and it was a store that was selling these little ceramic birds. And the only words that Lynn can say is, freely, without prompting, is birds. She goes, 10 birds, 12 birds. And so I had associated with this sort of her physical shop. And basically I said, well, where's Lynn? And I swooshed through the ceiling and she says, I just can't deal with it. She was trying to deal with managing this shop. And so I think she was realizing where she was and was trying to deal with managing her physical body. And then she said with great pain, she says, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. And I said, what can't you do? She says, I can't leave without you. And told me. And then I turned to her and I said, well, I can't leave. I can't go now, And she had this horrified look on her face. Like, why not? Because I think it was like in that state, she saw me as another spirit and didn't understand why I couldn't go with her. And that created a panic. But I woke up from that. I said, I've got to have another lucid dream. That's when I started incubating every night. It took about 2 nights. But I finally had another dream. I said, take me to Lynn. And I ended up in this place called the Halfway House. And there was this woman there that was managing it. They were sold all over the place, probably 100 people around. And I said, is Lynn here? And she said, yes, she is. She's down that hallway. So I went down the hallway and Lynn was sitting on a couch and I recognized her instantly. And I went over and ran up to her and started kissing her and hugging her. I said, I'm sorry, but I can't go right now. And I said, but time is different there than it is here. And so it'll be very long. And she looked at me and she says, I'll be okay. I'll be okay. But sort of in that fashion. Then I woke up from that. So unbelievable experience. It was all related to the love dream because that's what triggered the lucid dreams. But it was something I never experienced. I never had expected to be able to visit somebody regularly on the other side who was halfway there.
Yeah, it is amazing, but it just again shows the power of our dreams and what we can do with them.
Yeah.
And I would think that even though it's sad and it's such a sad experience that you're going through right now, that perhaps you're getting a little bit of comfort from the dreams because knowing or a little preparation for the inevitable that will happen.
Yeah. Well, it was wonderful because now I could still talk to her. We could communicate. We could have fun. But also the sadness that came with, her realization that I just can't go with her right now.
Indeed. Bob, you're one of the people actually in charge of putting together the conference for the International Association for the Study of Dreams. And this year's conference is coming up in June. So can you give us a preview of what to expect?
Yeah, this one's going to be fun. We're going back to the 12th century rolled up abbey in the Netherlands. And it's still an abbey. There's still priests living there and all, but they turned it into a massive conference center. And it's on the 8th of June, 8th till 12th of June. It's a 5-day conference. And right now I have over 130 presenters. So it's like a fire hose of dream information. But we have a lot of fun too. We have this dream art exhibit, usually with about 40, 50 artists exhibiting dream-based artwork. We have a side dreaming contest where we try to guess what somebody's dreaming about, who's the target. We're having a dream hike along the Dutch-German border and ending up the whole event with a dream ball where we all dress up as our favorite dream characters and just actually have a great time.
That's always a wild night.
Yeah.
Well, the people, some of those costumes have been so elaborate and
oh yeah.
You can tell that they've originated from the people's dreams.
Yes, exactly. And if you're curious about the program, you can go to the asdreams.org site and just click on the link to the conference. It's for everyone. Actually, it's a multidisciplinary conference, and most of the papers and folks that present they're all peer reviewed. So it's quite a serious conference from that standpoint, but we have many tracks. We have basic research and theory tracks, clinical tracks, as you might expect, but also dreams in the arts tracks, dreams in ethnicity, education, dreams in education, spirituality, religion, philosophy track, extraordinary psi and lucid dreaming track, and dreams in health and culture and history. So we cover the whole gamut of how one might look at dreams and have some pretty interesting keynotes as well. The opening keynote is going to be Peter Pina Guzman is his name, and he is going to be talking about non-human dreams. That's animal dreams and things of that sort. We have a couple folks that are talking, a couple researchers that are going to be talking to. One's a neuroscientist named Francesca Sicleri, who's done some tremendous work in understanding the neurological aspects of dreams. One of the famous best studies I can recall that she had done. She shows our brain, when we sleep and dream about certain different subjects matters, acts just much like it does when we're awake. Certain parts light up when we're thinking, certain parts light up when we're perceiving, etc. And that was pretty exciting. Also, we've got Marja Moore's talking about how dreams support us during a disease. There's a couple from India. They founded the Quantum Life University in India, and they're speaking on who is dreaming. So I'm sure that's going to be quite exciting, because I'm sure that who is dreaming is going to be this wisdom behind the dream. So it's going to be a pretty exciting conference.
Could you repeat the website for those who are interested in more information?
The simplest thing is just go to our website, www.asdreams.org, or you can go to the isdconferences.org website, and you go right to that conference. Or you can go to my website, which is dreamscience.org, and I've got a link there where you can get to it.
Wonderful. Well, Bob, thank you so much for being on Dream Power Radio today.
Okay. Thank you, Debbie.
We've been speaking about dreams with Robert Haas. I hope you've enjoyed today's program. If so, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Until next time, this is Debbie Spector-Weissman saying, sweet dreams, everybody.
You've been listening to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman. For more information on Debbie or to sign up for her newsletter, go to dreampowerradio.com. This has been Dream Power Radio.